This is Real Estate Perspective 360. I have the pleasure today of having Chuck Reilly from DACON Corporation, Vice President of Development. Chuck, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Steve, for having me. I appreciate it.
You and I have known each other for a long time, and there's so much construction going on in Boston and the surrounding area. But when I think of DesignBuild, I think of DACON Corp.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. For years, I was in the construction business, and I was always challenged with people saying, why should I use the design build method? Why don't I just get a set of plans and go out to a bunch of contractors and have everybody bid on it? And, I am a big believer in the design build. I think there are a lot of benefits to the owner and all of the other people that are involved. But you're the expert in the industry. Tell me why DACON and DesignBuild is the route to go.
So I'll go back to our founder, the late Dick Kaczynski. He was with Carlson Corporation in Natick. And he's an architect by trade, and he always found out that when an architect would put together plans and a contractor would price them, and eventually there was a relationship there, there was a difference between what the intent of the plans were from the architect to what the translation was from the contractor. And that obviously comes down to scope of work and price. So somewhere in the middle, the owner is going to be responsible for the gray area in between these two disciplines. So Dick said, let's eliminate that. Let's go design build, which is how they do a lot in Europe. And we'll team up, we'll have in-house architects, we'll have in-house estimators, project planners, and we'll have the construction team to do the project. So it's a single source responsibility for the project. And because it's teamed, the architect has fiduciary responsibility of making sure that the project is done correctly. So if the contractor, which is the same company, misses something in the plans or whatever, it's their responsibility to fix it, and it eliminates that gray area in between the traditional.
Because it usually creates a contentious
situation. It's a conflict, right?
And so it's conflict.
Most people are not working towards the end result, which is the best thing for the owner or the developer. So it's been over the last 25 years I've been there. Our market share has grown, and it's becoming much more accepted, and it's usually done on an open book basis. So it's a pretty easy sell.
75% of your clients are repeat clients. So that speaks to the quality of the process, your company, and the whole team effort.
It does, and that stems from entrepreneurs, long-term New England family companies to Fortune 500 companies and distribution centers and medical facilities. So
let me ask you, I've been doing a little bit of reading, and, despite the fact that construction, it appears it's ongoing everywhere. I mean, you can't take a 360 view and not see a sky crane somewhere, but there are some headwinds in the industry right now. Do you feel it?
We do, and we've experienced it this year. I have a sales board in my office that has 13 projects on it. Almost 12 of them are built to suits, and 9 of them are ground up. And we've seen, and the date of that sales board is March of 2017. We're just starting to get in the ground right now with 2 projects, with 2 more to get in before the end of the year. The rest are probably going to slip into next year, so I kind of call it the big pause. And it's a combination of engineering, permitting, geotech investigation, dealing with those challenges because there's not a lot of good sites out anymore.
Yeah,
the permitting process, the permitting process is longer right now than it has been in a number of years. I would say the average is almost 6 months, and we've seen 9 months.
Whereas years ago, the municipalities, they were working, could be anywhere from a 90-day process.
Right. So they're going through their paces. I can't blame it all on town hall because there's hesitation on the developer and owner's part. You got to get a contract done. So it's the process is taking longer, but the market is strong. I just did a market review for the New England Real Estate Journal, and in 2017, for outside of the central business district, downtown Boston, there's about 4 million square feet of built to suits that are on the books.
Wow, I didn't realize it was
that. Yeah, it's a lot, but not all of them are going to get in the ground. Yep. And some of them are some of the built to suits from 2016 that have just been occupied. So the market is good. We're still challenged with, trying to find good sites and all that.
How do you find the availability of subcontractors?
Subcontractors are 100% at capacity. That's a challenge.
Yeah.
It's a challenge anywhere, and it's certainly driving up, costs.
Yeah, but at least with DACON, you have such a history with so many reputable vendors that despite the fact they're at 100% capacity, they're servicing you guys because you've been such a great client of theirs for so many years.
We do. We have probably 1,500 subs, and we probably have a base of 200 to 250 that we like to rotate depending on the size of the project, the schedule, the expertise of the subcontractors. So we still get a lot of attention, which is good. But you got to make sure that when the subcontract's hired, they have the manpower to man it given the construction schedule you've committed to with the client. So the construction process is a challenge, but I guess that's the benefits or the negative of a good market.
Are you seeing any price increases, especially, not just because the economy is doing so well, but, from any of the natural disasters that we've seen in the past?
We haven't seen that uptick yet. There's been, some maybe 2 or 3% increase over the past year. Steel's gone up, concrete. We haven't seen any, hurricane disaster uptick, but, that's probably going to come in 2018. The sites are very challenging these days because not only the sites challenging from a topographical standpoint, but a lot of them have subsurface challenges. So you're putting a lot of money into the ground that you'll never see, and so that's always challenged by the client. And you're going to make sure you have good civil engineers to help you do that in the most
one of the
way.
worst situations that I know of is when a client isn't really fully apprised of subsurface situations. And, somebody like yourself in DACON working hand in hand with a client in the initial process so that they understand exactly what that entails. There are so many people out there that think, we'll just dig a foundation. And there are so many variables under the ground. And unfortunately, you can put a lot of cost in. At least it keeps that, as a team effort under the design build process. Everybody's going into it with their eyes wide open, so to speak.
Well, we've been pretty good at educating the knowledgeable developers and users that you really need to do this. You need to do it anyway because of the building inspector is going to want to see what the foundation is coming on. So it's going to be needed anyway. So everybody's pretty used to that. What's happening is sometimes you have a developer after your geotech comes in that is going to want to get a peer review of the geotech that was just done to make sure that it was done correctly and the results are correct. And they're willing to spend a little money to make sure that the cost has been identified to go into the subsurface, given the first geotechnical study is qualified, and we're seeing that more often.
Yeah, well, it's exciting stuff right now in the design build industry. You've heard it here with Chuck Reilly from DACON Corp, the go-to company when you come and you need design build construction services. Chuck, before we go, how do we get in touch with you?
Our main number is 508-651-3600. I usually use my direct, and it's www.dacon1.com. But Steve, before we leave, I'd like to ask you a question, since you and I have had such a history together. You're sitting in a new endeavor here. It's called Office Link. Can you give me a little background on it?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Yeah, as you know, Chuck, I'm a real estate developer and investor. We have a apartment fund. We have commercial office properties, self-storage. Sort of the whole gamut. As I mentioned earlier, you and I have known each other for probably 25 years now, and you know how I'm always trying to look for new ventures. So Office Link is a shared office concept. People are very familiar. In years past, we saw. People didn't typically want to be in a shared office environment, but as technology has developed over the years, so many more people are working from home. Companies are outsourcing their employees, but most people don't want to work from home. They don't have either the discipline. I know I certainly wouldn't, but people like to come into a shared office environment where they can rent 1 space, 2 spaces, 3 spaces for a month, 6 months, a year. So we launched OfficeLink back about a year ago, and this is our second facility. We have 27 offices in this OfficeLink location. We have 47 offices in our Chelmsford location, and we have 2 more under agreement right now. We're looking to expand the platform. So OfficeLink is a shared office environment,
fantastic.
and it's it's a good vibe here. We went a flight to quality. Our typical profile is lawyers, insurance, mortgage brokers, and we're in the suburbs, and hopefully this is something we want to do on a nationwide basis.
And Real Estate 101, location is everything?
Absolutely. This particular OfficeLink is, I know you're a good golfer, I'm not. You could hit the highway with a 2-iron from here. That's how close we are. This is a fabulous location. We're literally 15 minutes outside of Boston, and it's why we've had such great success.
Fantastic.
Thank you for asking.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Pleasure having you. You've heard it here.